So I was at a conference one time with, you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
No.
So GaryVee, he was speaking on stage, and he was saying, look, I'll give y'all everything that I'm doing. He said, I have zero issues telling you what it is that I do. Here's the thing. I know 99% of you won't do it.
Yeah.
So I have no issues gatekeeping.
Right.
Here you go. Here's the recipe. But I know that you're not going to execute.
I feel like what happens is people might still say you're gatekeeping because you didn't hold their hand through that whole process. Man, I told you what to do.
What's going on, tech team? It is JustMyTechCents, where we talk tech, finance, and lifestyle. My name is WillDoesTech, and I'm joined by my co-host,
JohnnieTech.
JohnnieTech in the building.
There it is.
What's the word?
Man, ready to work, man.
Discipline's the word.
Discipline?
Discipline is the word. It's always the word.
Discipline.
We show up, even at times when it's hard to show up. We're here.
When everyone else is asleep, man, we putting in work.
Yeah, but people are up at this point. I'm sure we're not the only ones that are.
Somebody sleep somewhere.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. So let's go ahead and get to it. Today we're going to be talking about gatekeeping, and I know that is a topic of discussion when it comes to breaking into the industry and whether or not we should gatekeep and not tell people about different jobs and resources, or if we should be free-flowing with all of the knowledge and information that we have gained over the years. So I wanted to cover a Reddit article that kind of spawned this conversation, which will allow us to have a basis of why we're having this conversation. So the Redditor is Opposite Craft 3498. So shouts out to Opposite Craft 3498. And the title is the lack of gatekeeping a reason why tech graduates face greater job competition than other fields? And the article goes on to say, these are just my thoughts, but part of the reason tech graduates may find it harder to get a job right now or right out of college compared to other majors could be the lack of gatekeeping in the field. For example, in accounting, becoming a CPA requires a 4-year degree and a specific number of accounting courses, which are usually built into an accounting major. Even though most accounting jobs do not require a CPA, companies are still incentivized to hire accounting graduates. And then we'll move down. I don't want to read that whole thing because it's talking about accounting. But then it talks about in the tech industry, companies often hire software engineers or IT professionals who do not have degrees in those fields. Someone with a degree in English or even no degree at all can still get a tech job if they have the right skills. This means that students who earn a software engineering or computer science degree are competing with a much larger pool of candidates, including those from unrelated majors and non-degree backgrounds. JohnnieTech, what say you?
I think he's making a lot of good points. Some I agree with, some I don't.
Okay.
Like I kind of understand. Like as I'm reading everything he's saying, like I'm gonna have to take his word for what's going on in accounting. I'm not that familiar with that career field and how they go as far as how they're hired for their positions. But what he's saying is there's basically cyber is a wild, wild west. You know, it doesn't matter your credentials. Anybody can kind of get in the field in a sense of just based on standard.
Yeah.
So it's like there's many avenues to take. So like I agree with them on that point. And by putting some structure there, it could help. But I also can see where, like what he's saying, like, oh, you can have an English degree. You can, but it's not likely. But I think what the gist of what he's saying is like you can get in the field and it doesn't necessarily matter what you have done prior to that. Yeah. And I think that could be, he might be on to something.
Yeah. So looking up the Google AI definition of gatekeeping, it says gatekeeping means controlling access to information resources, decision makers, or opportunities, often by filtering what comes in and goes out to maintain order, protect interests, or uphold specific standards. So some of that when it comes to gatekeeping, I do agree with. These more specifically, these specific standards. I do feel like there should be some kind of standardization in the market in order to get jobs. And and I'm thinking this as I say this,
right?
Because there's a part of me that says, well, we kind of have that, right? It's preferable that people have certifications. At the same time, certifications aren't the best measure. So maybe that's where the missing link is, because I don't think a college degree is also the best measure of what you know technically. So I don't know what kind of measuring tool or metric out there that we could use to really show us what a candidate would have in order to break into the market.
I think what he's saying is like, I understand what you're saying is like, we don't know what the standard should be, but are you saying there probably could be a standard? The reason why I say there probably should be a standard, because if you want to be a lawyer, you got to pass the bar, right? So then therefore companies are already like kind of looking at you like, okay, they did all these things, they're ready. But I think like the way it is now with it being Wild West, you can go to all different type of programs, you can do different things, and companies are still unsure of what they're getting. That's why they're able to look many different places and say like, well, they're not like, basically there's a lot of things that you do may not lead up into getting a position. So I think it would put onus on pretty much the whole industry of saying like, well, we're going to make sure that if you're going to this program that you're getting what you need, or we're going to create something like how the lawyers do have the bar. Like if you pass this, we know that you're good. Right. But now it's kind of a free for all, because they say, well, go get this certification, and all these certification bodies come out, and it's just so many different things that continue to happen where people who are trying to get into the field, they're doing these things and it doesn't really matter. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard to measure proven experience. And I think that's what a lot of these certifications try and do. But if it's not hands-on, so some of them like OSCP, a little bit of CCNA, but some that have labs that are attached to it that shows the practical piece of it, RHSA, Red Hat, Security, I don't know what they stand for, administrator, I think.
Right.
Like having those, then you can kind of get a better measure of what somebody's intellect is when it comes to that space. But I still think it's harder without having that outline. So we can say holistically, you had to go to college, get a CS degree, and then you have to turn around and let's say the bar equivalent on the tech side is CISSP. Right? You have to pass CISSP, and now you are qualified to do the job. Versus, as you said, in accounting, it's like, I mean, do you really have to have all this education in order to be in certain positions and or to be good at that position?
I think it's a deeper thing. Like I'm gonna do a spoiler alert, but have you seen the show Suits at all?
Mm-mm.
So in Suits, there's a guy, he has photographic memory, he's really smart, and he's helping people pass the bar, but he's never done it himself. He ends up walking to a law firm, getting a position as a lawyer, but he never took the bar. He worked for years.
Right.
So he had he can do the job. He showed he had the qualifications. When he didn't have the qualifications, he showed he can do the job, and he was great at it. But at the end of the day, he wasn't a lawyer.
Right.
So maybe there should be a standard. Everyone has to go through this to get to this point.
Yeah.
And it just makes I don't know if it makes the industry better, but I feel like it's a better funnel, you know. So if it's working for one industry, who says it won't work for us? Yeah. And I think another thing is, as far as like how gatekeeping goes in general, if they have the gatekeeping at this level, which I think a lot of industries do have, then you will kind of miss the gatekeeping once you get in the building. Because I think what happens is you have gatekeeping where someone they did all these things, went to college, got certs, and they found all this information on their own. They kind of just went through the fire to get where they are. So now you come in, they're like, you're going to have to put that same work in.
Right. And I wanted to actually talk about because you can look at it from a systematic standpoint. You can look at it from an individualistic standpoint, right? Where, somebody who holds the keys says, nah, I'm not giving these keys out. There's no way. As you said, I've gone through the fire and you have to figure it out yourself. So what do you think of, because there isn't that systematic or business part of it, right? And I even think when you do that, you can still be left out, right? A whole culture or people can be left out who never get the keys, and you hold it to certain people. But from an individual standpoint, because people always saying, why are you gatekeeping?
Right. Like, come on, man. You can give me that info. It wasn't even that serious.
What do you think about that from a control standpoint? Because here's the thing. When I see somebody talking about a trading course, right? And we're talking about stocks and stuff like that. When they say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to day trade. And it's like, well, why would you give away the secret sauce when like you have the recipe and you're gaining, right? You're supposedly winning. Why would you give that away to your competitors, right? Because, I mean, somebody has to buy and somebody has to sell. And so why would you create a course where everybody knows this information? Because now the information that you once had that once was a secret is no longer a secret, right? Now you're gaining from your course, right? That's how you're winning now.
So this information is not even that important anymore.
Right. I just give it away. Exactly. So it's like now you're giving all this information away, and it's like now it's not even gatekeeping. It's like there's no gate, right? Everybody's going through and
floodgates.
Right, the floodgates, right? And the competition is way more stiff because there's a lot more people now. So what do you think from that standpoint? Would you give out the sauce when it comes to how to get to certain, get certain positions?
I feel like we're kind of doing that now. We have the podcast, we're telling people. Yeah. So that's somewhat of it, but at the same time, I think that
we're not gatekeeping.
Right.
Okay.
I would say that we're not gatekeeping in that sense, but at the same time, it's like who's gonna search the information? Who's gonna put in the work to start that process?
Right.
Then I'll give you info. I'm not just gonna go out, let me tell you how to do this. Right. Okay. And I think that's where it comes in to where people are saying like, they've worked so hard to amass the amount of information they have to get where they are.
Yeah.
I don't, because like I've been in certain positions and I'm like, well, I'm working and I'm trying to figure things out. And I'm like, hey, I might have a question. And the initial thing I would say definitely, I feel like it's in the industry, definitely in the tech industry. People kind of give you that side eye when you ask questions first.
Yeah.
They want you to research first before you ask them anything. And sometimes it may not seem like it's that big of, it may not be that big of a deal, but it's like, I work to get this information, right? So it's like I don't want to just give it to someone who's maybe they might think you're taking a shortcut.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big piece of it. And like once you've done the work yourself too, you're like, man, you need to do a little research, and then I'll fill in where you're missing. I'm not gonna come in and basically just give you the sauce or whatever. You know? So I think that's a piece of it, and I that may be more directed when you get into a position, but I think it's going to be everywhere because it's like they might say, hey, read this book or go get this certification. And then they say, did he go? And then if you go get it, they might start, oh, you did that? Let me,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, I was at a conference one time with, who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
No.
So GaryVee, he was speaking on stage and he was saying, look, I'll give y'all everything that I'm doing. He said, I have zero issues telling you what it is that I do. Here's the thing. I know 99% of you won't do it.
Yep.
So I have no issues gatekeeping.
Right.
Here you go. Here's the recipe. But I know that you're not going to execute. And I think from my standpoint, I can give you all the information. I can tell you to take the certifications. I can tell you to do this. But I just don't. And if you do it, great.
Right.
But I'm in a space where I know that it's hard to get there. Right. And I'm not going to withhold that information. I just know that most people will not climb that ladder. So it's not.
I actually 100% agree. I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like what happens is people might still say you're gatekeeping because you didn't hold their hand through that whole process. I told you what to do, but you like. So.
There is that, and then I don't feel bad about that.
Right.
But if I'm sitting here telling you, hey, to get a job, you need Security Plus, you need CISSP, and I'm giving you the resources, and you're still trying to find shortcuts, and I'm telling you, look, stop with the shortcuts. Here's what you need to do. And you're just not doing it because you're impatient or it's too hard. To be successful, I mean, it does take time. It does take effort. And I know that there's no need to gatekeep. Now, if there was something that, again, was easy and I knew that like people would do it, everybody would do it, and everybody could be rich. Well, everybody can't be rich. Then, it's just a thing. But, from that standpoint, would I keep it to myself? Probably. Right. If I knew it was easy,
right?
But again, I know the position that I'm in. I can give you the sauce all day long, and I know 9 out of 10 not going to do it.
And most things that matter take work, so I definitely can see that, and people probably don't realize that. Like even with the gym, people gonna tell you, oh, the biggest thing is. You see somebody that's ripped up and they jack, like, oh, what do you do? Like, it's just diet. They like,
right.
But that's really what it,
we're telling you
most
what
of it.
Right. They say, 80% diet and 20% gym, and people still, it's like, the recipe.
Right.
You know what it takes to get where you want to go. You just don't want to, let's say, pay that invoice, right? Here's the invoice to greatness, and you're like, oh, no.
I ain't going to do it.
I'm good, man. There's got to be another way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then you start scamming and grifting and doing all these other things.
And then you're online looking at, okay, what did they,
Right.
You want to get 6-pack abs? You got to, you need this formula.
Yeah, right. Now you're looking for a pill, like for an easy solution, and it's just... Yeah, I mean, most things that are great just takes time, and there's no need to hold that information. So from a again, so we talked about the individualistic, we talked about systemic. I mean, and then how about when you work with somebody, right? And I used to see this a lot in the government, because people want to be of value, and for job security, right, they're not releasing the information that you truly do need in order to finish something.
Right.
That is probably the worst type of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Is those employees that are like, I can't tell you how to write this, because if I tell you, then I'm gonna be out of a job. Right. This is the only thing. This is the only that I have. Right. And so I think those are the worst kind of employees, when it's like, I mean, there's more than enough. You just don't want to do anymore. Right. You're comfortable.
Right. And I think that when you have people like that, I think management has to kind of jump in and try to solve the issue, because first of all, I feel like if they're doing that, there's not enough for them to be doing, where if they can give out one piece of information, that's going to affect everything. So you might need to be doing a little bit more, and they might not want to do more, and that could be the cause. But what I kind of want to do is also bring it back around, because I definitely think, I forget his name that you mentioned in the Reddit post. He's talking about industry wide, and I do think that's a deeper conversation for topic, in the sense of saying, like, if we set a standard holistically for the industry, people will already know that you put in that work and you're qualified, and I think that it would be a big help. Yeah. And I think the standard will have to continue to grow. So, like, I mean, I don't know if the bar ever changes, but, as technology changes, these programs have to get better and better. And there's tons of money going everywhere. So I think it'll make the industry better as a whole. And also, let's just say America in general took that up as a standard for themselves. I think it would have pushed them along as far as in the industry worldwide. Yeah.
But here's my, to play devil's advocate. Can you trust that? Right? I mean, can you like, when whatever governing body is forming, this standard that you have to meet in order to break into this industry, can you trust that it's for everybody?
Right.
Because you think about like college, some of these things we say. So when I say, I'm telling you to get Security Plus, I'm telling you, like, I feel like people can do that.
Right.
I really do. Now, when they say, hey, you need a college degree, right, that's going to cut a lot of people.
Right.
It's just not, based on, environment. They may not even have the opportunity. And
I get what you're saying, but in my mind, like, that's another topic where it strives to everything, because, like you said, if you know the one point of entry, you can block a lot of people out of there as well if you want to. If it's they can put that in place and say, oh, they did this for a reason, to block out so many people that can never get into the field now, because we can bar you. So let's say you need this. Now it's like, there's other things that can bar you from even getting an opportunity to get to this standard.
Yep.
Like, oh, you did what?
Yep.
You can't,
We're gatekeeping. It's gatekeeping.
I mean, it is called, he did say gatekeeping. He's like, do we need gatekeeping?
To control it. And it's like, I mean, how far do you go with that gatekeeping? Because, so with cybersecurity, my thing is, do we need to gatekeep, or can everybody eat? And I feel like everybody can eat, because they talk about all the time, and you see it in your job. It's like, we don't have enough people to do what they're asking us to do.
Right.
But we can't hire because cybersecurity is a cost center.
Right.
Right. And they're not seeing, the fruit of it unless, there's some kind of incident that they were able to avoid. Right.
Right.
But it's a cost center, so it's like, well, I mean, it's getting done. We haven't heard of any incidents happening.
Right.
We're cool, but it's like, you'll see all these jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs being advertised, and they're saying we don't have enough qualified people. Well, it sounds to me like everybody can eat.
That's true.
But when you look at the reality of the situation, everybody can eat. they cannot eat, right? It's people are being fired left and right, and people are struggling to eat. So people that have the qualifications, they can't get in.
Right. I mean, like I say, I feel like we can go a long time on this topic in a sense because it's very there. You know, there's very different nuances we can like continue to speak on. That's why I feel like it's a great topic for him to bring up as far as like the gatekeeping in general.
Yeah.
So because like there's other avenues you can go to. Because I was even thinking like you can get into talking about like there's a lot of professions that have this.
Yeah.
And it's like, for instance, if you go to a doctor and you're like you haven't done what, you're gonna be like I'm not going to him because that's the standard that's already set and that's how we see it. Like you'd be like it's malpractice for you to be performing surgery on me and you never.
We're dealing with people though. It's a little bit different, but I hear you.
I'm just saying it's just thoughts. I think it's because cybersecurity is open now. That's the way we view it, and changing it probably would be taboo. People may not like it at all, but so it's. I feel like we have to get the people's opinion and see what they say about it.
Okay. Are you a fan of Thanos?
Yes. Multiple reasons why.
All right, we'll leave it. We'll leave it at that. So this is So what are your opinions on gatekeeping? Is it something that is necessary, especially in the tech industry? Do you think it's necessary holistically? Are you a fan of Thanos as JohnnieTech is? This is just our Tech Sense. I'm WillDoesTech.
JohnnieTech.
And we'll talk to y'all later.
Out.